Welcome to the Fabulous 50s and Beyond. I'm Jim Pollard, your co-host, with my co-host wife, Jeanetta. I want you to pay particular attention to this program today because this is a very informative program about something that a lot of people don't know a whole lot about, and it's fibromyalgia. And we have our guests today that are going to be with us, Kathy Keeney and Meshea, is that? Meshea Crysup. I'll get it right one of these days. But anyway, we're glad to have y'all with us today.
Thank you.
And you stay tuned and we'll be right back.
And he'd say, go with what you got. Start from where you are. Give it your best shot. Keep reaching for that star. Get in the race. Keep your own pace. Keep moving and never stop. Just go. Go with what you got.
Welcome back. We're going to be talking about fibromyalgia today. And now that's a mouthful just to say that word in itself. But as we were talking before the show started, some of you have never heard of it. And some of you have heard of it in the past. We were talking, because I said 30 years ago when I heard about it, it was considered a psychosomatic disease. It was confused with so many other things that were going on. Very little research. Medication was in a natural food store, health food store. Right. That about the only place you could get it. But finally it has, and this is not a good thing, I don't think, it's gained its place in the medical field to where it's getting research and where it's getting some medicine research on it, and doctors are researching it. That's good that they're looking after it, but it's bad that it's gotten to that point in my way of thinking. So our guests today, they operate the local FibroLIFE organization.
Right.
And they're going to be talking about it. Jeanetta's going to be doing a lot of the questioning. She did the research on this. And so let's just go and start out by talking about what is your FibroLIFE organization locally? How does it function?
Okay. Well, FibroLIFE is our brainchild. I have fibromyalgia, Kathy doesn't. And for like 10 years, I was trying to start an organization to help people with fibromyalgia. And I would get a website up and going and that sort of thing, but it's just me, and I have fibromyalgia, so I couldn't keep that up. So about a year and a half ago, Kathy and I actually got together and started doing it. And as a team, we have developed tools and programs that actually help people who have fibromyalgia in documenting symptoms, communicating with the physician, and understanding what's going on themselves, and organizing their care, and organizing their treatment, and organizing what they've tried and haven't tried. A lot of different things that we've put together as actual tools that people can use in order to actually make a difference. We have a lot of information, but you can get information all over the internet about fibromyalgia. We haven't tried to duplicate those websites or rewrite all the information. What we've done is tried to develop actual working tools and programs that people can do and can have help doing so that it actually does make a difference. It's like you can read all day long about a subject, but if you don't know how to apply it, or you're not well enough to apply what you've read, you haven't accomplished anything. Our goal as an organization is actually accomplishing the goal of helping people who have fibromyalgia. Not, like I said, we're not an information only. We're not a support group where everybody comes and you talk about how bad you feel. We're not that either. And
we're more or less a lifestyle approach to fibromyalgia.
Right.
We help people learn how to live their lives through it and beyond.
Right.
So that they're not so all encompassed with the syndrome that
right.
That they can't function.
Yeah, in essence, you got to kind of move on.
Right.
Move through it.
Right.
With it. Yeah,
Right. And what a lot of people are told is, okay, here's some information, here's a little list that you can check off and make to go to your doctor, and they are then told, so then you can do that and go on. Well, when you have X amount of good hours in the day, are you going to read that information put all your energy into retaining it and making out this list to go see your doctor, or are you going to get your kids fed and on the bus and off to school? So what gets left undone is that aspect, and actually what we're advocating is we do offer the services individually to people, but you have all these wellness programs now that companies are doing and that insurance companies are doing. We're advocating that FibroLIFE be adopted as these wellness
by the
programs.
insurance companies.
Right.
So that, I mean, it's a win-win situation because the people will gain more out of their lives.
Right.
The insurance companies will have fewer costs. The doctors will be less frustrated. There will be fewer tests.
Right. Fewer referrals.
Fewer referrals.
Right. The client will be better, faster, and everybody wins.
And
in
you
that
can
situation.
document a lot more quickly because it's a very simple procedure.
Yes, we've made it very simple.
We've made it as user-friendly as possible.
Well, let me say that a lot of this information I'm talking about is on our website now. So if you're interested in getting a lot of this information, you can go to our website, thefabulous50s.net, and you'll find a lot of this information there, but you'll also find links to getting more information that they've got. So just pay attention to that.
One question I wanted to ask is, how would you know, what are the symptoms? Because, you know, we have our back hurts and this hurts and that hurts, but how would we know that it might be?
Okay. It is a chronic pain syndrome, so you are going to have pain, but it is, it doesn't go away. It's sort of like having the flu, and you're better a day or two, and I'll be dadgum, you've got the flu again, you know. It's pain, it's fatigue. You have mood disorders because of sleep disturbances, so you don't sleep well, and mental fogginess, which we call fibrofog, because you've not gotten restorative rest. So those are the big four, but it manifests in other ways too.
You wind up, a lot of times, you don't feel good. I mean, that's a given. You hurt. You don't want to be grumpy about it, but even so, it spills over. A lot of doctors start out by prescribing antidepressants. Well, whenever a patient hears antidepressants, the patient hears it's all in your head. What they're not hearing is what the doctor isn't saying, and that is that you are not getting restorative rest. You need restorative rest. This will give you restorative rest and will help increase the serotonin back into your system so that you won't feel as bad emotionally.
But basically, it's you know that you're not feeling well, and you really can't put your finger on what it is, but you're tired, you're fatigued, and you'll be better a little bit, and then it's back again. And there are a lot of things that can do that.
Remember when we were young and we didn't know any better? We'd put mercury in our hands, yes, you know, and we'd go to put our finger on it, and it would go everywhere, right? You couldn't quite put your finger on it. It was there, you could see it, you knew it was there. Equate that mercury to the amount of pain you have from fibromyalgia. Somebody's going to say, well, where does it hurt? And you go to point at it and put your finger on it, and it scatters everywhere. It doesn't stay in one spot. You know, your ears may ache, you may have TMJ, you may have irritable bowel. It could be any number of things that are affecting you.
Spastic bladder, rashes, hot then cold. It is so varied because it is, we have finally, research has pretty much decided it is a neurological disorder. They use the term frequently neuromuscular because muscles is where the pain is at. But there's no damage being done to the muscle, so they tell us. Sometimes I'm not so sure, but it is neurological. So since the neurological system is the wiring that's in our body, that wiring is misfiring for whatever reason. So maybe it's misfiring, causing pain in my muscles today, right now. An hour from now, it may be misfiring, and I'm not feeling that pain at all, but my TMJ's acted up, and I've got, you know, spastic bladder going on. So that's one reason why a lot of people think they're, you know, they don't want to go to the doctor, they don't want to tell somebody, because it's like they're going to think I'm crazy, or they're going to think I'm just making this up, or I'm a hypochondriac.
Exactly. I had an aunt who was constantly in pain like this years and years and years ago. And everybody in the family just said, oh, she's just a hypochondriac. She's looking for attention. Her daughter has now been diagnosed with fibromyalgia.
Well, see, that's what happens, you know. Nobody knows your body like you do.
Absolutely.
And you know what's going on.
Right.
You don't know what's going on, you just know what's happening, I guess is a better way of saying it. And we need to be aware that I tell her there are days that I get up that I don't feel like I can go, but I know I gotta go.
Right.
Because if I don't, I won't go.
Right.
And to keep moving, you got to keep moving. And I guess with your, can I call it a buddy system for lack of a better
Yes,
term?
absolutely. That's a pretty good way of putting
That
it.
kind of encourages you and helps you keep going
Right.
to where the help is there when you need it, and you don't have to just sit down and quit.
Right, and because with fibromyalgia, one of the things that people do try to do, and I did it for years, my jobs were very high-stress jobs, and I pushed and pushed, you know, overachiever type and go-getter type. And my doctor, when I was finally diagnosed, he's like, yeah, you can go back to work and do that, but you'll be back in bed, you know, within a month, and you're going to keep doing this cycle that you've been doing now your whole life, and it's just going to get worse because I kept pushing and pushing. There's a balance with fibromyalgia. You cannot stop. You have to stay active. You have to stay mentally active, physically active. You have to stay involved in the community and in your family. But at the same time, you have to read your body enough to know what is too much, or you'll throw yourself into a flare to the point that you're not able to do those things. And certainly without the buddy system, because I still have a little too much of that overachiever in me, and I push the envelope way too often. So I flare, and without that buddy system, we wouldn't have this organization that we have.
There's a lot of times whenever I have to just tell her, okay, you're getting tired, you need to rest.
But not because I'm grouchy.
No.
I don't do that.
No, we laugh a lot.
We do.
Yeah.
Laughter.
Laughter is good.
Laughter
Yeah.
is the best.
I have, we've done a lot of research on laughter and how it heals.
It really.
And
Absolutely.
I have a speech entitled Make Everyday Christmas, which deals a lot with laughter.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know that there are hospitals today that actually have laughter rooms?
That's where I need to probably just be committed to.
Yeah, it's a TV room. It's a TV room with TVs and nothing but funny videos in it.
Right.
And
Wow.
they send the
funny
people in.
books.
They can prove. I mean, they've done
Sure.
the wires and everything to show how that laughter does heal. And
It does.
every now and then we'll watch a show and say we don't need to watch that before we go to bed. But we love the movies like Sister Act,
Right.
Patch Adams. Watch those. I mean, when you get down, she'll say we need to watch one of those movies. You know.
Right. Don't
know.
put in love story
Right,
or
right,
something like
right.
that.
They have done studies, and if you stress
Right.
yourself out before you go to bed or something, it's like, you know.
Right.
It's the worst thing you can do. They say.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
laughter heals, and it's a great thing. And I know some people say, "What are you talking about? Laughter heals," but it does.
We utilize that a lot, and a lot of people don't realize how badly I really do feel because I do that a lot. My way of dealing with it in public is to mostly poke fun at myself, but I cut up a lot, and we have lunches. We have sometimes 5 people, sometimes we have 17, 18, 20 people, fibro, non-fibro people. And what we do, we laugh. When these restaurants see us coming, it's not, oh, there's those grouchy FibroLIFE hurting people
Oh, no,
again.
they love to see
Oh,
you.
it is like, well, the tips are
Well,
going to
have
be
you come
good,
join us?
and yeah, we're gonna laugh, and that's what we do.
That's the whole idea.
It's
By increasing the endorphins,
Absolutely.
it
Yeah.
reduces the pain.
Yeah.
And that is a huge plus whenever you
Absolutely.
deal with pain all the time.
I was saying sometimes somebody say, "How you doing?" I say, "Well, do you want the truth or a lie make you feel better?"
Well, so you really don't want me to tell you,
Right,
so
right,
let me tell you
right.
this.
you can be feeling awful, and somebody else, oh, I'm doing great, you know.
Well, what I tend to do, in all honesty, because so many people don't know about fibromyalgia, I tend to answer that question honestly, and I do it for this reason. If it's a stranger telling them, oh, well, that must be real, or they wouldn't have told me that. Whereas your spouse, your sister, your uncle, whatever can tell you, well, I'm feeling this way. And it's like, oh, there they go again. They're complaining. So I talk pretty openly about how I feel for that reason, is to validate what other people are saying. But at the same time, I'd then go ahead and explain, because people will be like, well, you never look like you're feeling badly. And I say, oh, this is what I let you see.
Okay, first time's up. We're going to take a break here. And by the way, before we take the break, remember you can go to our website, thefabulousfifties.net, and get more information about what we're talking about here. So you stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Our fugitive has been on the run for 90 minutes. Average foot speed over uneven terrain, barring any injuries, is 4 miles per hour. What I need from each and every one of you is a full target search of every gas station, residence, warehouse, farmhouse, hen house, outhouse, and dog house in that area. Your fugitive has just cashed in his 401k plan, and all he had to do was roll it over.
Learn about rollovers and protecting your financial future, and choose to save.
You can't mess with a big dog.
Welcome back. We have a very informative program today, and I hope you've been watching, and if you missed the first half, go back and find it online and watch it, because this is a program that a lot of people are talking about today. We're talking about fibromyalgia, and we're talking about the organization FibroLIFE locally here in Western Kentucky. And I'm sure that if you're watching this online, there are organizations in your area that you can track down that will help you with this. So go ahead, Jeanetta, it's your show.
I wanted to, I wanted to ask you, now I see a lot on TV now about that there is a pill that you can take.
I'm so glad you asked that.
The medicines that have been approved for use with fibromyalgia were not developed for fibromyalgia. They are, for the most part, SSRI.
They're antidepressant,
Right,
neurological type.
Right. And what they do is they just make you feel better.
They make
so
you a
far
zombie.
as-
Some of them do. Some of them do.
And it depends on who you are. Some of them work great. Some of them might be the miracle drug that helps you feel better and makes you cope a little better. But at the same time, they were made for something else. They are not developed for fibromyalgia.
Which has not happened because they don't really know what it is yet. So what has happened is medications have been used off-label, and they have found, whether they were checking to see if that's what it would do or just by happenstance, that this has helped this condition. And it's good. When those commercials first came out, there have been 3 that have been approved. When those commercials first came out, that was awesome, because like my dad, who just kept saying, you're young, you should be able to push through this. Now my dad sees these commercials and he's like, oh, this is real and this stuff's bad. And that's good. But the flip side of that is, you also have these women on there who are now out in their garden, you know, and they're just living life up again. And so people are like, my dad now is, well, are you taking that pill? And I'm like, Daddy, that pill put 17 pounds on me in 2.5 weeks.
Ooh.
I can't take that pill.
My
Right.
goodness.
You know, so
People react
Right.
differently to each
Right.
medication.
And mine was such a bad reaction. They actually have questioned me and researched it. Not everybody gains that much, but that does happen, you know.
Well,
But-
it's just like he had a terrible reaction to one of the
Antibiotics.
medicines he
Right.
just took. It
Right.
was awful.
So what actually has happened, there is a pain medication that is most effective for fibromyalgia, and that is Ultram. It is higher up on the scale than, say, a Tylenol is, but it's not actually a controlled substance either, so it's in between. And a lot of people who have surgery or whatever say, oh, that Ultram, it's useless. Well, it doesn't help that kind of pain, but it's been the most effective for fibro pain. The other medication that they stumbled onto is a very old antidepressant, amitriptyline or Elavil. It's a good one to start with because with fibromyalgia, you want to get the most bang for your buck that you can. Amitriptyline does handle restoring the serotonin and the other neurotransmitters to a degree. It's not the best in the world. It's an early antidepressant, but it also helps you relax. It's a muscle relaxer, and it helps you sleep. So you get a 3-in-1 bang with amitriptyline, but it does tend to make you sleepy, and weight gain follows because it lowers your metabolism. But it's that kind of medications that we're actually using. Some people are taking the big 3 that have been approved, and they are having good results with them. But it's not, you can't go to your doctor and he'll just look at you and say, oh, you've got all these symptoms going on. That's fibromyalgia. And the FDA has approved these 3 medications, one of them or 2 of them together, and you're going to be right back out there, you know, just like on TV. Not very often.
No.
A few people, but that is not really how it is.
For the most part, when you see that, you know, being around somebody who has fibromyalgia
Right.
or FMS, one of the first things I think of is, oh, she's going to be in a flare tomorrow. she's not going to be worth anything.
Right. And that's what I think when I see that commercial and that woman's out there in the garden and she's just going at it. I'm like, yeah, she's feeling good today.
Yeah.
And she's overdoing it today. But the commercials are misleading. They have helped tremendously.
It gets
But they've
FMS
hurt
out
too.
there.
Yeah, they've
it
hurt
gets
too.
Fibromyalgia out there.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of the drug companies, in all fairness, refuses to advertise, and partially for that very reason. So only 2 of the medications are actually advertised. One of them is known by the pharmaceutical companies and the physicians, but they do not advertise to patients for that exact reason, because they don't want to paint this image that, oh, take this medication and you're going to be all better. Because
Like it's a wonder drug.
Right, there is
Exactly.
no wonder drug. As a matter of fact, there is no single combination of treatments. There's no cookie cutter treatment for fibromyalgia.
Everything is very
Right.
individualized because this is very individualized.
Right. And
You
that-
can't say you're going to feel this pain at a certain time
Right.
or anything like that. It's very, objective rather than subjective?
Yeah, and it's because it is so all over the place, and because it's not something that, okay, you take this medicine, you're going to be better, like with high blood pressure or whatever, or diabetes. You know, you need this amount of insulin. You know, we can measure your blood sugar, we know how much you need. It's not like that. That's why our programs that we've developed are so important, because our programs get that information from you that only you can give, that very highly individualized information that the physician needs. And if he had all the time in the world to get from you, that's what he would get. And if you felt well enough when you saw him and clear enough, you know, the fog wasn't there, the pain wasn't there, and you had his undivided attention for as long as you needed it, it's all the information you would tell him. And then the 2 of you would be able to work really, really well together and more quickly come up with the right cocktail for your specific circumstances at that time, because it can change. We kind of take the place of that. We don't tell physicians what they should do. We don't tell a client, and nor are we advocating wellness coaches, which is what we think should have. We don't advocate that these coaches send a letter to the doctor and say, we have checked your patient out and this is what you need to do for them. Not at all.
No.
We gather the necessary data and present it in a very concise way so a physician can look it over, and when he sees the patient doesn't have to remember, oh God, you know, I felt like this yesterday and that the day before, and the doctor doesn't have to try to get it out of him in the time that he's got to get it out of him. It's there. So that visit is a quality visit. The patient leaves feeling like the doctor listened, he knew what I needed. The doctor feels like the patient did their part, I've been able to help them today. And that's where we come in, because what happens is they get so frustrated with each other that the patient will say, well, that doctor's not helping me. And they go down the street to so-and-so and they start the process all over again. Or the physician.
It becomes a vicious cycle.
Right, or the physician rightly gets frustrated. And he's like, okay, I'm going to refer you to someone else, I'm not able to help you. We want to use our programs to eliminate those things happening, to get people to functioning at the best they're going to be able, their optimal level with fibromyalgia as quickly as possible. That's what we do.
The Mayo Clinic just came out with a study this last year.
This is awesome.
And somebody who has FMS versus somebody who does not and needs to get a diagnosis. The FMS patient will spend twice as much and go to twice as many doctors in order to receive a diagnosis, because it's a diagnosis of exclusion. In order to be diagnosed as having FMS or fibromyalgia, you have to be tested for MS, lupus, and several other different things.
Chronic fatigue.
They have to eliminate everything else. And what it all boils down to is, for 3 months, if I touch you on a spot, you say ouch.
Yeah.
And 11 out of 18 points.
Right.
That's it. That's how you become diagnosed. Now, we can use electron microscopes to go through and see inside a cell.
But we're diagnosing fibromyalgia with ouch 11 out of 18 times, which is, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
I think I know the answer, but fibromyalgia is not limited by age, is it?
Oh, absolutely not.
Because children have it too, don't they?
As a matter of fact, my mom has done extensive interviews for us, and we need to get them on the website. I've had it my entire life. I can remember getting up to go to school, my hands hurting so badly that I couldn't tie my shoes in the morning and that sort of thing. Mom, they would take me to the doctor. I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was 9. I didn't have rheumatoid arthritis, but that's all the doctor could come up with. Part of that year, I literally had an excuse from the doctor. My mom wrote out my homework assignments. I could not do it. And straight A student, you know, I'm not somebody who didn't want to.
Yes,
So other people, however, that's a primary diagnosis. Secondary can be, you can have a car accident, you can be emotionally, some emotional upheaval, or you may have a bad bout of the flu, or maybe you get cancer even, something that stresses your body, and you can develop it after that stressor.
Because of the stressor.
Right, and that's a secondary. So there's primary, secondary. It is primarily women that are diagnosed, like 70 to 90%, but men are diagnosed with it and probably not being diagnosed as frequently as is out there. It's probably more prevalent in children and men than is being diagnosed.
Well, we're out of time.
Wow.
This has been a fantastic show. Y'all have really put out a lot of good information, done a lot of research. And we want you to know out there in the audience that you can get more information by going to our website, thefabulous50s.net, and just clicking the program information, show information across the top of the site there. And you can go and find the links to their websites and different things. You can also see the show over and over because it'll be streaming, and we encourage you to watch our show. Now, we're going to try to, this year, to give you a lot of information about things that are going on. May have you back, you know, as more information develops on these different programs. But we want you to know that our program is designed to inform and to inspire and to motivate. We want to inform you about what's happening, the services and programs that are available for you, and we want to inspire you to do things. Write a book, volunteer. Don't wait to be asked. Go out and volunteer. And that we want to encourage you to do that. And then finally, we want to motivate you to do something. And by motivating you, there's a lot of ways that we can do that and a lot of things that you can do. We want to remind you that this is the Fabulous 50s and beyond, and use it or lose it.
All right.
Very good.
Can't see as well as I used to.